Let's go. Alyssa,
Yes.
thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you for coming on the show. We have few mutual friends, but this is our first time meeting.
Yes.
So I'm really grateful that you're here today.
Yeah, me too.
You're an actor, actress,
Yeah, actor, actress, however you want to go by.
and a scriptie.
Yes, Script Supervisor.
Pays the bill,
Mm-hmm.
and in between you go on auditions.
Exactly.
But your career-wise, are you looking to the directions of an actress or a script? How much is like script supervisor? First of all, let's why don't we tell people what a script supervisor is?
Yeah, I
What
know.
is some of the basics that
The
you
basic
can say?
job duties.
Mhm.
Well, the biggest one I would say that people would know is keeping track of continuity.
So let's say what is a continuity?
Yeah, so continuity is just making sure that if you set this bottle down to your right, that when we switch over to the next actor, that bottle's still there, because you run many takes and many things can happen along inside that takes where things can look different, and you
And
got to make
takes
sure.
means people are we're filming
Yeah,
essentially the same scene or same
exactly.
dialogue a couple
Mhm.
of times
Exactly.
until the director's happy with it. And
Uh-huh.
in between every take, we have back to one or reset if
Exactly.
there's props.
Mm-hmm.
So if you set this over here and then the
Mhm.
actor moved it over here, when we go back to one,
I have to make sure that it gets moved back
Yeah.
to that same spot. And that's just like the physical continuity of the scene. Another job of mine is making sure that your wardrobe continuity is okay. So, for example, like if you're shooting a series and you got to shoot out a location, making sure that all the actors are, let's say that they're in this house days 1 through 6, and we're shooting days 3, 4, and 5 that day. They're going to be wearing different outfits. So I got to make sure, check in with wardrobe, that everything's consistent throughout the whole series.
So consistency
Mm-hmm.
is basic continuity, props, costumes, locations.
Yeah. And that's just the physical, on.
And then even
set
things
job.
like what the actor did, right? In the
Mhm.
previous take versus,
Yeah.
hey, you were playing with a pen this whole time
Mm-hmm.
in the previous take, or in the reverse. And then when we go into the reverse, like, oh, you gotta
keep playing with
grab
that
it,
pen.
and you gotta,
Mhm.
you gotta keep playing with the pen. You can't just stop on the
Yeah.
reverse.
Or making sure two actors take a drink at the same time, or a puff of
Is
the
that-
cigarette at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Isn't that fun on like take 25? Yeah, you gotta keep sipping
Oh,
that apple
man.
juice.
At the same time. Well, by then, thankfully, it's like muscle memory into the actors.
No, I know,
Mhm.
but that when the actor's like, I can't drink any more of this
Yeah.
stuff. Or
Like, sorry, buddy. You got to keep going.
how did you get into film? What was your who introduced you to film? How did you discover film?
Mhm.
Who kind of navigate you into acting and
So, acting, I always knew that I wanted to act.
like from yay big
From
type thing?
yeah, I would say 3rd grade. I was in my cousin's play. They
like-
needed little kids. Yeah, and I was like, this is fun. I like this. Like,
Okay.
I want to stick to
So
this.
putting on little shows.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally when I got into high school, I figured out that you can go sign up to be an extra. And so I was like, this is cool. I turned 18, and me and my best friend, we signed ourselves out of school. Like during school, we didn't tell our parents or anything.
Mhm.
Drove down to Central Casting, signed ourselves up, and then we saw that extras management right across the street actually would book you for every day that you said you could work. So then we started on non-school days doing extra work, and that's kind of how I
Got exposed to set.
exactly. And then in my hometown, I used to be a really big vaper.
What's your hometown? Where are you from?
I don't know if you know where Laverne is at, or San
No
Dimas.
idea.
They're like you ever see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Is that Keanu Reeves and Face the Music or whatever it's called?
Yeah. So they where they started their journey is in San Dimas. That's
Okay.
where I grew up.
California?
California.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's keep it to the state.
So sorry. Yeah, I'm such in my bubble. I'm like,
No,
yeah,
it's
of
okay.
course
It's all good,
California.
right? It's all good. I was born and raised in Czech Republic, so
No, yeah.
for me, it's
I
like
should be more specific.
no, you're fine. You're fine. I'm like, is that California? I think so.
Yeah.
Sound like Sen? Yeah, that sounds like a California.
It's like 20, 30 minutes down the 210 from where we're at right now.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. So you were up there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and there was a vape shop that I would frequent often, so much so that I made friends with the owners. And the owner, he was a producer. He was a Lifetime producer, so he makes Lifetime movies as well as run a vape shop with his family.
It's a Lifetime movie.
The Lifetime movies, like the Lifetime channel.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be funding movies to be played on that station.
Got it.
Yeah. So his daughter was a training to be a makeup artist, and I got close with them because of that. She brought me onto set, and this was my first time being on set, not as an extra, like kind of having privileges, so to say, and being able to walk around and talk to people. And that's when I talked to my first script supervisor, which later got replaced by another script supervisor who actually ended up being my mentor. So he was teaching me how to script supervise for a solid 3 months. And then,
were you just hanging out on the set?
No. So I shadowed him on set 2 times, separate films, not the one that I met him on. And I would go over his house and we'd have like study sessions, and he'd show me like, hey, we're going to learn about the line today, and we're going to learn how you mark your notes up for the editors. We're going to learn continuity and like kind of everything that falls under that, to wardrobe, to the actor's movements, to the times on a clock, and when there should be a clock in the scene and when there shouldn't be a clock in the scene.
The times on the clock.
So, yeah.
All these little things and these little details that people don't realize that goes into filmmaking.
Yeah.
And keeping everything consistent between the multiple takes and reverses, you know, when we go on close-ups and, you know, where we go wide or establishing, and it's like everything's going to match up together. So then when you're watching it, you don't see, oh, something's weird.
Something's off, yeah.
Or crossing the line, you know, things like that.
Yeah. Crossing the line, I feel like, too, is a big one that I feel like
it's kind of hard to understand at first. It's
hard to understand at first, and then too, I think that you would be surprised at how many people don't know like the whole rule of the line, because I have had to correct many directors and DPs, and I'm like, you guys
crossing the line.
Yeah. So it's a very fun job, but it can also be very stressful if you're in an environment where people don't know all the rules that go into
and you feel
filmmaking.
Like you have to prove.
Yeah, and it's not even like prove, but just be like, hey, I'm not trying to tell you this because I'm trying to tell you what to do. It's very much like, I just want to help.
Right. Give you an example. I've had something like that happen to me on set. My director started talking to the extras and start directing them to what they're going to do. And I said, you can't talk to the extras. And I just said it bluntly because I figured that we are on the same understanding of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me like, what the fuck? Why you like who the fuck?
I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
And he says, I'll talk to the extras if I want to. And I was like, okay. If you talk to the extra who's not SAG and non-union, and you give him directions, he gets bumped in to a SAG. And
we don't have the budget for
and
all that.
No, it's not even that. It's just like, if that's your intention, then but my job is, you tell me what you want the background to do, and I delegate with my third and second set, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes so that kind of scenario too. Like I understand that could be really tricky when, you know, you're trying to tell somebody who doesn't know, and you don't want to come across cold or patronizing or like a smart ass. And I feel like scripties, like constantly, it's like, no.
Yeah, because our job is essentially to tell people
be
when
super
things
anal
are going
about
wrong.
details of everything.
Yeah, like, this is wrong.
And point it out.
This is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, how do I do this nicely?
Yeah.
And still like respect everyone that
You're
I'm working
so
with.
nice though when you do it. You're like, hey Tori, I don't really want to sit, but they're like crossing the line, and it's like.
Yeah, Tori's witnessed my super nice subtle direction giving. Thanks, Tori. I appreciate it. I've worked really hard on my verbiage and language.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I want to circle back to real quick is you had a friend who wanted to be a makeup artist. Her dad was a producer. You were able to get on set. There's somebody who was a scriptie get fired or they moved on.
Yeah.
Somebody else brought in, and you decided, or somehow you've managed to convert that person, that connection, into a mentor. Can you talk about a little bit, if you have any, like, what was that experience for you, and how did you go about finding a mentor? Because I feel like I wish more people did it in the industry. Find yours, you know, I always say find a mentor.
I always like tell newer people that I meet, because I'm 25, I'm super young. So it's like when I meet even younger people than me, I'm like, find a teacher, find a mentor, and stick with it, because they're going to take you everywhere to where you need to go. I didn't know this at the time, but when I had asked him, I was very like gung-ho. I'm going to be the best actress ever. Like, I'm going to be #1 in Hollywood.
How old were you when you were on set?
I was 19.
19, okay.
When I met my mentor.
And it was like your very first time on set.
I had been on a couple of sets already, just as extras, but this was my first time, like, on a set.
So you did go get signed up for the extras thing first, and then you ended up on this set through your friend.
Yes.
And that's where you met your mentor. So what did you tell him? How did you approach the dialogue, the conversation of, would you mentor me?
So it pretty much came down to, we were conversing at the wrap party. And it was me, my friends, the wardrobe girl. We were all having fun, and I was like, yeah, you know, I want to get more into this. I'm 19, like, I'm in a bar. I shouldn't even be in a bar right now. How do I get into filmmaking? Like, I've only ever been an extra, and we get treated like crap. Like, how am I gonna break through? Who do I talk to? Who do I this and that? And that's where everyone was like, well, you just got to make friends. Like, you got to make friends with everyone. And I was like, okay, making friends, #1. And then I got a tip for mentors, and I was like, oh, I didn't think about mentors. Like, that's a really smart, like, thing. I'm gonna look out for that. So with those two thoughts planted in my head that night, I kept talking to the script supervisor, and I was like, hey, so you know, do you have a program or a training or anything where I could learn how to be a script supervisor?
Was it a male or female?
It was a male.
Okay. Was that were you looking at it any differently as a female, like wanting to get into it, to like, would you rather have didn't make a difference?
No, it didn't make too much of a difference. Also, being super young, I didn't really experience any kind of sexism or anything like that. So it was very much a little kid being like, teach me how to do this, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And I think because I was so like eager, new and green, he was like, yeah, you know what? This is how I learned. Someone taught me for free. Let me pass it on. Exactly. Yeah. So, like for 3 months, he taught me how to, all the tricks to the trade, everything. Cause there's a lot that goes into it, and to remember to keep like somewhat of a routine.
Kudos to you that you with those 2 pieces of information you collected that evening, you were like, let's do it. Yeah. And that you mustered up the ask. And I always say the people that don't ask,
never receive.
Never, you know. So like, you know, you can't never be worse off. The no is not the worst thing you can get, right? The worst thing is you didn't ask, you didn't even get the no, right? Because no just means no today.
Exactly.
Especially in Hollywood. You know, if you go to like pitch your movie to investors and they said no.
Okay, next person.
Well, not just next person. Just for me, that just means no today.
Oh yeah, that too.
You know, you'll rotate something, you make changes, you then do a short, that short does well, then you come and cross paths with those people again. Yeah, and the no that day might mean maybe. And then another year from that, they're like, okay, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So kids or anybody, working professionals, no in Hollywood or anywhere in the film industry just means no today.
I love that. I'm going to tell people that one. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really so mentor, right? I'm really big on that and passing along. So you found somebody who's been doing this and you shadowed him for 3 months. You must have learned. There was like a intensive kind of almost.
Yeah. You know. It was like 2 days a week, 3 hours at his house. We're just sitting and we're gonna focus like on whatever we're learning.
Were you focusing more on the roles of the actor on set or the roles of a script supervisor? Both.
I would say a little bit of both. Just because that's where my actor brain goes.
Yeah, you were like, I wanted to act, and I was picking his brain on that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, you can do this and pay your bills with it while you're getting on auditions.
Yeah, exactly. So
very smart.
It was that too, and then also just because the script supervisor is so close at Video Village with the directors, with the producers, like the people who hire the actors. So it's like, oh, if I can make friends with all these people, they're gonna want to hire me eventually, and we're all gonna work together, and it's gonna be a blast. And we're gonna have fun making movies. And
it's also a great. That's interesting. We have that in common. So the reason I chose AD, first AD.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of did, kind of didn't, but
yeah.
when I first really got into the big leagues like the NFL, there was a competition that I wrote, directed, produced with a nice team. We got it done, and because of the level of quality of it, somebody offered me to get into the union in Canada.
Oh wow!
And I started as a trainee assistant director. Worked to third or second in US.
Yeah.
Second and first, and I had a mentor who was pushing me from third to first all the way through. But the reason when he was asking me like, look, you gotta join. If you really want to be on set, you kind of union's the way to go. One, pays guaranteed, and once you make your name, you really can make this a working professional career. I never wanted to really be a first AD, but he's like, well, you're 6'7", you're naturally gonna have this,
You have an authority to,
and you're quick on your feet with ideas, and that's kind of what AD, navigating all the head department and I take stress really well, so everybody's problems bottlenecking through me. I'm like, okay, all right. My thing was I wanted to be as close to the directors and the actors as possible, and here I am, maybe on my second year of being in the union, ADing, and telling these actors and this director, like, okay, so here's what we're going to do in the scene. I mean, the directors, do his rehearsal and blocking, and with the DP, like kind of navigating it and putting it all together. Like, okay, you're going to start over there. You're going to grab this. You're going to move over there. And so now I'm here, like planning how the scene plays out. It's not my creative vision, right? I'm kind of going off of what's been projected by the director and the DP and everything. But I'm putting all these people together and really learning how the set works and the interaction with actors. So, and then the other closest person to the director and the creative on set, in my opinion, where people can kind of get in as like a trainee or with mentorship, is a script supervisor. So because you're sitting there with the director, watching what he's doing, what decisions he's making, the adjustments to actors that he's doing, how he arrived at those. So when you said that, I ultimately went in my mind in how my path would cross with yours. Being there in the action. So very smart on your part to like, okay, well, I can learn a lot here.
Exactly.
Because
that's where it's going down, like all the brain power for everything.
And also you're watching all these actors perform, and you can see what they do, and when they take direction, how they take direction. When they are given freedom, what they do, when they're improving, and when they're going, very strictly off the script. And even as an actor, knowing like when can you improv and when do you have to stay on booked, because each one's different. I really feel like it's on the director, it's on the writer, because even as a script supervisor, that's my job to make sure that all lines are being said properly. So if an actor starts veering off book, then I have to ask the director, like, is this okay? Do you like this? And then if the writer's on set, I have to go to the writer and say, do you like this? Is this okay? Like, okay, cool. Like, everything's fine. We can keep it the way it is. Have you guys, have you seen this interview? It's the DGA has once a year, they have, I think, the Oscar nominees or the Oscar winners for that year, kind of like a panel, and they get interviewed. And I think last year, or whatever it was Quentin, Irishman. It was the year of
a couple years ago. Martin
Scorsese. Martin Scorsese, Bong Joon-ho. Fuck yeah! I'm sorry, brother. I loved your movie. I'm sorry I butchered your name. You're fantastic. Keep it up. Taika Waititi. Sean Mendes, and Quentin Tarantino, right? My favorite take on actors wanting to improv Taika Waititi. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I watched the.
Oh my god, no, I want to see those. I love it.
You gotta.
He's funny.
Oh my god! Everybody, please go watch this. We're gonna link that video. I'm gonna put that in the description of the video.
Dude, that whole episode though, like
it's
Martin
incredible.
Scorsese talking about the ending.
Yeah,
Tarantino
yeah.
ranting
Oh
about
my
the
God.
ending.
Yeah,
It's
incredible,
I've
incredible.
never seen this.
But when you were talking about the improv and when to improv, you know, Taika's take on it was just so funny. He's like, when actors when they come to improv is basically what he kind of said something in the lungs liceless. Let's just throw the script out of the and just basically have no structure and say whatever and makes no sense. And so you're like, all right, fine, let you do it, and then. All right, that was garbage. Okay, let's
let's go back to the script now. Yeah, that has happened. So
but the way
much
he described it, the way he said it is just
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Okay, so where did you go? How did you kind of navigate it forward? You're kind of getting serious now.
Yeah.
You put some time into mentoring and learning from this mentor.
Exactly.
And I want to act. This script supervisor is pretty cool too.
So at that point, I had pretty much just been like, okay, I had to accept that I wasn't only just going to be an actress. Like, I had to learn how to do everything. And that was kind of when I started waking up as an artist a little bit and being like, hey, there's more things out there and there's more things that are more fun than just acting. And so that side of me kind of started waking up. I started talking to other departments a lot more. I got my first job. It was a pilot, with some pretty solid casting, and I remember being super stoked about it, but also
you got your first job as a script supervisor.
So
that was your first time on set, hired on. The bigger thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Was a script supervisor. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was awesome. I worked with one of the pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean, an actor from a old TV show that I used to watch when I was little. So it's for a little Alyssa, it was like, oh my god, this is happening. I'm making this happen. My dreams are coming true.
And you're being paid.
And I'm getting paid. Yeah, it was amazing. It was the best. So I think just from that fun excitement, genuineness, I was able to talk to so many more people on set. And this is my first set. I'm so excited. I'm doing my job. I was doing my job extra diligently. And from there, I started getting referrals. And so more jobs kept coming in.
Do you remember who was the person that referred you to the next one?
I don't. Still to this day, I will get there was only one time I've ever had to interview for a job. Was it that first time? No, it was actually for an HBO show, McMillions. I don't know if you guys seen that. It was a documentary.
McMillions, yes.
Yeah, I was working second unit on that.
Insane
so
documentary.
Good, right?
Not just so good, it's just insane.
Yeah, no, they brought me in and I was watching just the documentary part before we filmed the live action stuff, and I was like, is this real? Did this really happen? It was awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you loved it.
They kind of kept I can't believe nobody that it wasn't more public, but
me neither. It was so fun.
For anybody who wants to watch a good doc series, I think it's 6 or 7 episodes. It's one of those shorter series.
It's a 6 episode.
Oh my god, the FBI agent guy, that laughs, the kind of goofy guy.
Oh yeah,
You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
love him.
Everybody did.
He was oh, the guy that cracked it, right? The guy that landed on his desk.
Yep.
And yeah, incredible story.
Yeah. Yes.
McMillions, yeah, go watch it. Number one, a lot of winning or kind of a scratch game, a scam.
Yeah.
In the history.
Yeah.
It's about the McDonald's monopoly scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was that one. That one I do remember who referred me, and I was shocked because it was by an AD who I thought hated me. And when I saw her, she was like, oh my god, Alyssa. And I was like, oh my god, you like me. This was weird. I thought you hated me. But yeah, so that's just how I've been getting my jobs. And thankfully the people that I've been working with have also been moving up. And they keep recommending me. And, it's like a spider web. It keeps trickling out. And I've been working as a scriptie for 5 years now, thankfully pretty consistently. Again, without looking much, without doing many interviews, them coming to me, it's been very nice, and I feel very fortunate. And I feel like that's just a sign that I need to keep on this path. 'Cause yeah, it's a lot of fun. So then with doing that also, being an actress, I've also met my acting mentor, and now he's my acting coach and directing mentor. So I got two more. My acting coach right now, he's doing a bunch of classes, so I haven't really gone to him much. But being a scripty, talking to everyone, like just pretty much just sharing my passion, who I am, what I want to do, and what I appreciated from everyone else's jobs, because everyone on set is like artistic to some degree, and it's really cool listening to their stories and how they got there too.
That was the premise of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, let's talk about the 2,000 people after the first 15 seconds of the credits that roll down, and the massive numbers. Like, who are all these people?
Exactly. No one knows. Nobody
A few
knows.
weeks ago, I had a friend of mine on. He is incredible Steadicam operator. His real name, Thor.
That's awesome.
And shout out to Thor. I love you, brother. We have he has an incredible book right now that we're going to option, and it's family crazy that has to do with his family that we're going to try to bring to life, and that he wants to direct, and I'll help produce. And Thor is the kind of the person who told me the reason he got into, like, how he discovered film was saw it rolling all the credits, and it just clicked, like, oh, like these are jobs. Like, these people are getting paid.
Yeah, everybody on that.
Like, you know, like if I can just be like one of those people, just be in film. So I had a kind of a similar thing. I fell in love when my dad was, pirate copying, downloading movies from the internet and bringing the whole DVD copy home, you know. I would always first watch the bonus, the behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. And
being born and raised in Czech Republic, the exposure of the true filmmaking wasn't real. Like, there was not really, you know. So watching all these things, these behind the scenes, like, oh, what's that? Those lights. Look at that crane. Like, I didn't know Steadicam was a Steadicam. You know, I was just like, what is that guy running with the camera? What the hell is that?
That's around the camera.
Yeah, and the guy that's like pulling. What is he doing?
What's he doing? He's so focused.
And then guys pushing the doll. And what are they pushing? This cart. Like, what's going? Just so much. And I would just be glued to the And then also, like, I kind of, my buddy Thor, when he told me the realization of all the people in credits, when I saw, you know, oh shit, all these people that are working on this, is like a job for, you know. And I remember telling my parents, and they bought me this book, How to Make a Film.
Yeah.
It was in Czech language from some English or German documentary director, producer, writer. And it was written by, so it was a female. And I just remember, like, I just read the whole book like 2 or 3 times. By the way, I've probably read like 4 books in my life.
Nice.
Okay. I only learn by video and audio together. Like, I can basically, like, people have a photographic memory.
Yeah.
I have like a visual audio memory that you can say it, and then I'll just remember 5 years later.
That's dope.
But reading, I struggle with script.
Yeah.
I'm a first AD.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me what to do, and I will make it happen.
but like, reading scripts, right? For me is like, you get 100-page script, what, like an hour and a half, 2 hours probably, right?
Yeah, it takes me just the first pass through it.
Yeah. It's like a 3.5 hour process for me. And then I go through 2 pages, and I'm like wondering off what I'm gonna cook for dinner, you know. I'm like, fuck, I don't remember what I just read for the last 2 pages.
Oh man, it must not be a good script.
No, listen, to be honest, to be fair, and I'm just gonna I was reading my own script the other day.
Same thing.
Oh
no.
Yeah. That I'm super passionate and love, and I know every detail of it, but I'm just like flipping through, and I'm like, oh. So some kind of ADD, like with the reading, just my mind's just thinking while I'm reading.
Yeah. You're just a different learner.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody who has that,
it's all good.
You know, kind of an issue, hey, YouTube it. It's there. I guarantee you.
We just got to find a way to work with it.
Yeah, that you can build like a spaceship off of YouTube, pretty much. You know?
Can, yeah.
Or fix anything around your house, by the way, too, you know.
figure out how to build a house.
Figure out how to
on
build a house.
YouTube.
I know. It's like, have you seen those videos of the guy that's in somewhere like Africa or Indonesia?
And they build the swimming pools.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, and with
mhm.
nothing, he has like
Just-
a hands or like a little rock. He just starts digging,
Yeah.
and he carries those jars of water
Yeah.
for 12 days,
Mhm.
you know, to
And
fill
they
it.
make this
And he
like,
makes like these, and
beautiful.
the like the windows with the candles, and like he used the bamboo
Yeah.
for to make the
Mhm.
bridges and the bed.
Yeah, that guy's insane.
I know the work ethic
Mhm.
of the person, you know. Like,
It's
I wonder who
unreal.
told him about YouTube.
Yeah.
know, Like,
They're
dude,
like, bro, put this on there. You're gonna make a lot of money. I promise. People in America will stay up till 3 a.m. to watch
watching
you.
17 of your bench watching 17 of your builds like in a
Yeah.
row, yeah, making you a millionaire. I don't even know if he knows that his channel's like monetized and he's making like hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and he's like, but he's just digging holes in the ground.
This is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd watch that at like midnight.
Yeah,
That's what
And I'm
that's
just like,
the-
it's
rabbit.
like,
That's the
refer to
YouTube rabbit
me.
hole.
It is.
No,
We've
like,
all
no.
been there. We don't even need to talk about it, guys. Come on, it's embarrassing. But I totally
We're healthy
sidetracked.
people,
So
we'll get sleep.
yeah, super hard. But going back to the fuck
Mhm.
what we were talking about.
Um,
Let's test the script supervisor.
that's a terrible one for me because I wasn't like
yeah.
remember. We
Is-
were talking about.
I got you guys if you want the answer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Going off, you can learn anything on YouTube. You can even learn how to build a house, and then
Yeah.
it segued into that.
Prior to that,
Ah.
how did we got into the learning? I couldn't. I
Because you're
remember.
a visual and audio learner.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
then
And prior to that?
Reading scripts.
reading scripts.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
but
love reading scripts.
Yeah,
That's
you-
funny.
You do?
I do. It's
I do
like-
too.
Uh-huh.
I do too. And in fact, you know, Voice Dream or one of those apps that reads the script to you.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
I have to, and also like on computer,
Mm-hmm.
when somebody's giving me a last minute thing and they want me in like
In the meeting
in
or
the,
whatever.
well, it just last night I got called in at like 7 p.m. to fill in for somebody who tested positive on COVID.
Oh no.
Call time was 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
right, to ATL night shoot, and they're like, well, you can show up at midnight because we'll be setting up. And anyways, long story short, night shoots are crazy, by the way.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
just-
I've worked many of them. They're so exhausting.
so I forgot what the fuck was I talking about again?
You had the script. They called you in, and it was on the computer.
Yeah,
but you
I
wanted a
can't do
hard-
that. It has to be a printed hard copy. Thank
Same.
you. Good
Mhm.
job.
Yeah,
Wow,
there it
you're
was. Yeah, I
really, like,
remembered.
yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to have it like printed and sit somewhere and just like take
Mhm.
my time.
I'm the same with that. I don't know why a computer screen just
I can do it. It's doable, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I can do it. I just prefer. I will print it up at my house. Like if you can't get me the hard copy, because it's more comfortable for me. I don't know why. I think it's honestly just the computer screen that hurts my eyes.
Mm,
You know, reading a couple hundred pages, like
too much.
it's too much. Yeah, then too, because I go through it 5 or 6 times by the time we're ready to shoot on the prep. Yeah. Oh yeah, you too. Yeah. Sorry. And so it's like
And I can't like I
can't.
don't want to say
stare
I
at the
can't read, but it's
screen.
like so
Buckle down. Mm-hmm.
at least I have some kind of like almost like a photographic memory to where like
Mhm.
the second pass I'm really remembering the pages.
Yeah.
And you know,
Mm-hmm.
do you do breakdowns kind of like ADs too as a scriptee? I don't even know that. Do you break down like elements into what's wardrobe, who's what's happening? Do you do that as well? Do you-
Yeah, I'll do so like my approach when I break down a script is I'll go through, read it for the story. What's the
Yep.
story about? Do I like it? You know, this and that. Then I'll go through, usually I'll start with the characters next. Then from the characters, I'll start with props.
Mhm.
Then from props, wardrobe. Then from
Costumes.
there, breaking down. If it's like not a very like move intensive set, I really don't focus on location too much because that's really not. I can't fix that.
Mhm.
But I can focus everything else like on the wardrobe. If it's however many days are in the script. If it's like a 1-day thing, super easy. But yeah, then just making sure that all the props are in, just so that I have no hesitation on set when someone's like, hey, what is this? I can just look at you and say that that's that.
Do you have any experience? This is a question I wanted to ask because, you know, when you're putting together a larger project and it's an action or some kind of specialty thing, principle, practical effects or anything like that. I always wanted to ask this script. I can't believe that I haven't. When you're reading the script and it says, "And now they fight."
Yeah.
And by the way, this is how George Lucas described the fight of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker in the script.
And that's all that happened.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
When they get to that 30-minute fight, when he first delivered the first draft and like we're working, and it says where that battle happens, it just says, "And now they fight." Brilliant. It was like, that'd be my type of a script. Be like, yes, thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So when you have like an action sequence or a fight, that like, and he hits him here, and we're kind of visualizing it, but you can't quite get it. But then it gets to the stunt coordinator, and they choreograph this whole thing, and then you're on set and you're seeing it for the first time. Like, how do you memorize? Like, how do you, like, that's too much to take in, to like, oh, like, did he flip and that guy kicked him in the head? Like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
So like, do you have to go do a separate kind of like different department heads to go like, because you're kind of, well, rolling, cool. And now you're paying attention to what's happening, keeping track and notes. But like, if it's something complicated, like choreographed stunt, like, do you go to the stunt coordinator and kind of get an idea of like, hey, what do you guys, so like, what is this now they fight?
Yeah.
So I know what I'm looking for, so I can keep track of it.
Yeah. So normally, thankfully, I haven't had many stunts without a choreographer, so they've been very helpful with me as well, of like, did we get this flip? Did we get that punch? So like, because I don't work with stunts all that much, so my approach to that is when we get on set, I'll watch the blocking rehearsal and then I'll memorize everything from the blocking, and then from the blocking, that's my script, so to say,
for the choreographed.
For that choreographed section. And usually I'll record it, or again, if it's not too intensive and it's like if it's a punch here or punch there, I can remember that.
When you say record it, you will record the screen with like your phone to keep a note.
Or I'll record like the actual the physical blocking if camera's not set up yet or anything. Have
you ever had an issue? Maybe you haven't. Have you ever been on like a larger NDA type level film? Like when you're the one who's like walking around with your personal phone and like you're recording the thing, like, did you ever get like, I'm like, well, I'm the scriptee, so listen, I need to know.
Well, no, I will make sure that everybody knows I'm using my cell phone before, so I don't get that talked to.
Do they allow you to use your phone that you walk away from the set with?
Yeah, because it's like, I'm under contract, so it's like if it gets out, I'm screwed either way. But it's like
so like, what if you're on Marvel movie, for example, right, or something big, and you walk away and you leave it accidentally in the restaurant?
Okay, well, so for bigger sets like that, they do give you.
They just like, this is what you record.
This is what you're doing. Yeah. Because I don't think that you're allowed to bring.
That was basically my question.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering.
Of course. Yeah.
It's awesome. I was like, there's no way, right? That they has to like protect it somehow. You can't walk. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they give you they give you your own stuff depending on what kind of script supervisor you are, because I'm an on paper script supervisor, which means everything that I do, I have printed sheets out. I have printed sheets of my opposite pages, of my editor's logs. The script is printed, but then you also have digital scripties, and they do everything on an iPad or a laptop, whatever is like preferable, usually from the software, and the software does everything for you. It's pretty awesome.
And it's called Scripty, right?
It's called, yeah, exactly. The reason I don't use it is because I don't know if technology hates me. I always lose stuff. Like files always get deleted, and I don't know how to get them back. I'm just not technically.
So you're like old school
savvy.
Manual. So
That's
you
how
send
I operate.
PDFs to the.
Yeah, I have a scanner, so I'll scan everything on set.
Doesn't Scripty software sync with at most editing softwares for like the editor though?
Yeah, it does.
So and if it gets requested that like no use the software, so then they can take it for the workflow and just take the file from you and put it in the editing software.
Yeah.
And then they can. And I have a couple questions about that. Can you talk a little bit about the process of the notes that you're creating.
Yeah.
So like, for example, we're doing a take where you say, "Fuck you, Tori,"
Mm-hmm.
and the director didn't like it, and then he says, "Fuck you, Tori."
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
And
was
then-
better. Yeah.
Was that one
That
better?
was more believable.
Or it was like, that's too dramatic. And it's like, screw you, Tori. And that was the one that they want to use. You highlight that, meaning you circle it.
Exactly.
This take number 3 right
Mhm.
here. I'm sorry, Tori. I didn't mean to. I love you.
The German 3.
Yeah, the German.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there it is.
No, it was actually.
Yeah,
I know.
okay.
I'm kidding. You circle that when the director says, "I like that's
Mhm.
that's the one I want." So
Yes.
then when they're going through the footage in the editing bay,
Mhm.
they're not like looking through 15
Yeah.
takes of like, which one was the one that I like. Oh,
Mhm.
like they always go back when they're doing the rough cut assembly.
Yeah.
They take the highlighted or starred or whatever.
Mhm.
Is there levels of like when you're doing 5 to 10 takes or on something, like, oh, I like that one like 7 out of 10, and then he says I like that one like 9 out of 10? Do you is there levels of like how you organize the takes that the director prefers, or just I like that one, I like that one?
I think it depends on the director.
Okay.
Because I've had multiple directors say, I only like this section from that take, or I only like the beginning of this take, the rest I hated, or the ending of that was great, but we can't use anything up until then.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will do is circle that, and then in big writing, only the end, or only the head, or only like whatever part the director wanted. And
Can
then
it be even as specific as like timestamp?
It can be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, hey, this from,
Yeah.
and then when you guys watch the playback,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes because direct, like you take the take and then it's like, let me look at it, and he
Yeah.
says, okay, from here, here,
Mhm.
and you mark that.
Yes.
So it could be as specific as
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, it's very much as specific as the director would like it to be, because I'm making it as specific as the director's telling me to. So if, for example, like for my notes, I'll write down everything that went right technically, or everything that went wrong technically, and maybe why we
Can you give an example of like when something goes wrong?
Yeah, like if the boom comes down,
Mhm.
or maybe an actor's lav falls out and we can see their microphone or their little mic pack.
Yeah.
We can't use that because
The lav,
Yeah, the mic that goes
the transmitter.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So that would be an example.
Or if you can see the wire in the shirt or
Exactly,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I would write that down.
Do you have a discussion with the director prior about, hey, like, what's your lingo? What's your style?
Mhm.
So let's say, for example, you see a boom and nobody's saying anything. Are before you guys start shooting the movie at all, do you say, hey, if I see something, can I call it out while we're rolling?
Yeah.
And what has been your experience with directors? Do they, like, let's say you see a boom, what do you call, frame or boom or?
It depends. I've noticed, like, more so for indie sets, directors don't mind if I call it out while we're rolling. Intake, booms and frame, and then so that they can lift it out.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bigger budget productions, they will, just so that, and mainly I've noticed this for the integrity of the actors, they'll keep going,
Yeah.
just to not
Yeah,
mess
yeah,
them
yeah.
up and keep them going, and then say something afterwards,
Mm.
and then we'll do it again.
And then you mark it as that it was a boom in the shot.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
How do you deal with I can't sidetrack again. I would lose
No,
what
yeah,
I
you're
was
fine.
trying to what I was trying to say. Okay, so when so you would ask in the beginning of the process, hey, can I call it out, or how do you work, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be a conversation between you, like, hey, how do you want to do this together?
Yeah, and if I hadn't had a conversation with the director before the shoot day, I will have it with them that morning when they have a free moment. Hey, I'm so and so. Nice to meet you. I'm your script supervisor. How do you like to work? Do you like to run the whole scenes and this and that, or give notes at the beginning, give notes at the end?
Mhm.
Like, so then I can kind of get a feel of how they like to operate, and then we move on from there.
Do you when you bring, so the notes, I want to go back to the notes that you're
Yeah.
giving up for the
Uh-huh.
when there's like a boom or something like that in the shot, but let's go to something even a little bit more trickier. So the director loved the take, but plane flew over while,
Yeah.
right? And he says, I love this take. We can ADR it. We can ADR it. which means, by the
Mhm.
way, that the actor will come into the studio and record the lines over the lines that were recorded on set.
Yeah.
You know, or sometimes we would record them even as wild lines, just on
Just in case.
yeah, just in case. But so when that happens, what do you put into the notes when he loves the take but it's unusable because of something?
I would still circle it and put why it's unusable, but circle it because the director loved the performances. Also, as me trying to protect the film in every way that I can, if I see that, I'm gonna totally be like, hey, we should get some wild lines like while we're here. Or if I don't hear the director say anything of like, oh yeah, we'll get an ADR session later or something, I will absolutely fight for those lines, because it's like, you love this, we're all here to make your vision work, and I want to make that work for you, but in order to make that work for you, we got to get these lines.
Do you remember the first time you were when you were in like a bigger set and the sound guy, if they're real good, they call room tone, and all of a sudden within a split of a second, I like to call it like, I try to help people to warn to make sure that, so I call it like 5, room tone, and I call it 5, 4, and kind of call it out, and I can be pretty like I'm not scream or yell, but Tori work with me, broadcast it out. And isn't it incredible how all of a sudden 50 or 60 people can just go to dead quiet, and nobody's like fucking moving, everybody's just like the grips laying on the ground over there, just like chilling, everybody's just kind of standing there. It's just
30 seconds.
It's really weird if you think about it.
It's
so
an interesting
weird,
right? Like, so room tones for everybody who's listening is when the audio technician, after we've done the scene, wants to record this layer of another part of the audio, which is with the actors in specific positions and objects in specific positions, to record the sound of the space that's surrounding the microphones that's been recorded. And it's a necessary thing, and it's incredibly helpful, and but it's just I've always kind of I just kind of like, especially when we like when the director says moving on, I'm like, all right guys, moving on, and then I look at the song, I'm like, room tone, and everybody's like, oh fuck,
everyone stop working, hold the work.
Like everybody's that room tone, guys.
But a lot of people don't understand room tones. Like when you're editing, that's so useful.
It's
it's so, if there's like pauses in dialogue or something, you're like, I need something to sound natural here, or
yeah. And the other thing is, the actors always, right? Like, they can't bounce. No. You need to stay in the scene, because your body and the sound, the way that it travels
off each other.
Exactly. And you have laugh, and then all of that needs to go into the mix. We threw a little sound engineering lecture in here. So you're welcome, people. Wow, this is great. I have so many cool questions for you. So
ask away.
So you mark loving it, but there's an issue. And what if it's something that you like, what if it got like, it was missed? How does that usually,
like, if we missed a scene for the day,
or no,
if
like
we missed a dialogue,
if you if line got
usually I've been lucky.
Like if he loves it, but like based off of the script, it was a missed line, like he was supposed to say going far away, and he says something else. Went far away.
It's those instances to where I gotta ask the directors and if the writers on set, if they're okay with the actors improv, or if they're okay with that line switch, because generally if it's something subtle like that, they don't care. But if it's like a big one, like, oh yeah, then we went over there, which is like, I don't know how many extra words onto that, we went over there, that's a big deal. So then I would have to tell the director, this isn't what was in the script. If you want to go back and get it, or if you like a take that we have previously, I'll circle that one as well, depending on how much time is in the day, because we can or cannot get another take of that dialogue, and there might or might not have been one good usable one before. So it's like, if there's a usable one, that the director liked but didn't love, I will circle that one just in case there is an issue with the one that they loved. For me, generally, I like to have at least 2 circled takes for my editor's logs, just so that there's one, like, if there's the one that the director did not necessarily love the most, we have the one that he loves the most and the one that works for the script. So it's like a safety thing that I'll put in there for the editors, but I will put the one that the director wants first.
Have you guys seen the there's like a behind the scenes on Quentin Tarantino's movies where all the actors, like in between takes and slates, they always say hi to the editor?
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Sally.
God, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck is this Sally?
Yeah.
And then I had to, and then I Googled, then I went and you know, I'm like, oh, the editor who edited all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, pretty much. I'm like, that's why all the actors from different movies like, hi, Sally, you know.
Yeah, I'd never seen that.
Yeah, I'll send you. We'll add that into the.
Yeah.
We'll link that
links,
into your episode.
She was like his most longest working collaborator up until Inglourious Basterds, and she like passed away on a hike. Like randomly.
Whoa, that's terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
No. It's okay. You didn't know, but like,
yeah, I had no idea.
No, but this was like 5 to 6 years ago, and it really changed. It changed his, like, if you notice, like Inglourious Basterds and after, it's like a little different. His stories,
they
like
are.
the editing. There's no, it's like, yeah.
But I didn't think anything that they were different because of that. I just thought that maybe he just adapted a new
I had no idea she passed. I'm so
Yeah,
that's
it's
so
like a
sad.
combination, I think, too. Yeah.
And good, something that you just mentioned, you know, and I recently kind of revisit the idea, and it was brought to me by, and I've heard it over and over, but you know, when you really think about it, the movies, I think McConaughey said it. The movie's made about 5 times.
Oh yeah.
Script that you write, then the shooting script, then what you shoot, then what you put together, like in the rough cut and whatnot, and then like the distribution, the version that actually makes it to the, you know, and when you go from the script to the like the 5th version of this, you know,
it's not the same film anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's my directing mentor is super big on that. I've been with him for 2 years now. He's also my acting coach. He's big on like things are changing. Because we'll have writing sessions every Saturday, me, him, and another friend of ours, and we just made a film, our friend's film, and so he made, you know, this was his baby and he wrote it. So I got to see everything from the beginning. I got to see the pre-production to where we were planning it and how already he was like changing it. But even the script started changing like while the actors were in rehearsal. Like I started seeing changes. So it was a different movie from when Steve wrote it. It was a different movie from when the actors started writing it. Then, like you said, you get the shooting script and then you get what's actually shot. And then because my director's super like nitpicky and anal about everything, he'll have like 7 or 8 different cuts of the film before he's like satisfied with it. And each one is so different from the last one. So you're just like, you really get to see how a story can be manipulated into a different story from one story. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah. You start with a, you know, triangle, end up with a circle,
hexagon,
yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and it turned into a square here, and then you know, becomes the circle, and then by the time you're done, you know, it's
the rectangle you see today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Interesting you said that, because I've had this recent kind of interaction with this situation for the first time. I'm working on my first feature film.
Oh, congrats.
And I am writing the movie with the writer of the last movie we went to shoot in Vegas with Tori, American Sakara, Rachel on it. And so we came up with the outline together. We really vibed together in Vegas, and I said I want to do this project, and we talked, and then when we came back to LA, we said, why don't we just go and write it? Yeah. So we did the outline together, and I had a lot of story that I needed to be there and wanted to be there. And when I was happy with his, you know, and his his outline is like a 30-page thing, you know. So I was like, okay, it's pretty detailed. Like the meat of the story was there, the spine.
Yeah, he got it all.
And then he's super fast. He takes about 2 months to write a first draft, right?
Wow.
Guess what? I've never ever read a first draft of anything.
Oh, okay.
Because at first AD, I usually get the shooting script. Like, hey, this is we locked. This is we really going to go shoot this. And usually then I'm like the one who's thinking like, we can't do this on this time, this budget, like, no, you know, and start other taking things or figuring out how we can cheat this or whatever. So I always see like draft number 7 or 9 or 12 or whatever it is, right? Which, by the way, people, like when you write the script for the first time, that's not, you know, it goes through many iterations before you start filming with what you actually. And so now going into transitioning finally into directorial and working on my first feature film, that also the ideas of the story came from my head, plus it's based on true events. And now I'm reading this first draft and I'm like, first of all, kudos to Rich. It's a brilliant first draft, but oh shit, like there's a ton of work here, and it just should be. Obviously, like one, creating the story, but second of all, like it's a really interesting experience when you're reading a first draft versus like, you know, when it's a finished kind of a thing. And as an AD, I've never read a first draft. You know, I've never was included on the creative of this needs to go, this shouldn't be there, cut the page count, you know, this and that
what
character needs you know, and the character needs more like this and that. And so that was a very, very an eye-opening kind of a situation that ties into the idea we were talking about. You start here and you go here and you end up over here, because at the same time, I have these vivid visual things in my head of how I'm going to specifically shoot certain scene. As I'm going through the draft, I'm realizing that scene might not even be there. You know, by the time that script is ready to be shot. So it's kind of the creating a script in a movie, in a feature, or any kind of storytelling, has this like reverse process. You know, we all start with some images in our head. And you just start then putting them into some kind of a log line, you know, outline. And then if you can, I can, not yet, to write an actual screenplay.
You will.
You know, thank you. I don't think that's my thing. It's not. Maybe one day. I've done it.
Totally not. Yeah, but you know, you tried it.
And I've done it, and I know that my strongest suit is looking at a work and making it better. Like I've always been, even with people, like helping, like, okay, what you're working on, what you're doing, and just then coming in and just, okay, this is how we could improve, make it faster, more streamlined. So that's why the ADing kind of worked, you know, like how can we cheat this? How can we get away with this?
Creative solutions.
Create solutions. And same thing with the script. As I'm going through it, like, okay, for this character, it would make more. I'm looking at it as if it was a real thing happening in life. Oh, he would probably point this way and shoot this way because of this, and logically, and then we can do it like this. So that's kind of my thought process. But staring at the like, and now he kind of creating the the spine of the story, like what is it about, who the characters and why they're doing what they're doing. Sure, the details I need to be given, and then I can. So that's why, and we have Rich on tomorrow actually. So that's why working with somebody as talented as he is, who can just for 8 hours sit there all day and just write every day. I'm just awesome. Like, dude, no, that's not me. But you give me something and you're like, how do you feel, you know? But it was really interesting seeing a script on the first draft for the first time ever and being like, oh shit, there's so many questions here.
That's a lot.
Like a lot of work too, right? Like I'm like, fuck, I have to answer all these because it's my movie. It's like,
you
fuck.
Do. You're the one. Everyone's
like,
gonna ask
when we were done with the outline, I was like, all right, that's kind of what happens. You write it and let's go make it. No.
Nope, you gotta make many revisions. Yeah, that's wild. And that's funny you say that too, because I'm not a writer either, and I wanted to take my hand and write, like, just because I've been trying everything, and it's like I've been having fun in expressing myself through every kind of medium so far that I've tried on set. And like writing it's really weird. It's hard to just get yourself to sit here and, okay, I'm gonna write the story of like what now what, and it's like you're just staring at a blank screen. But I noticed like after a while of staring and just kind of writing whatever comes to my mind, then things start coming, and then like my real creativeness starts coming through, and then the characters start speaking to me. And I noticed this happen on the last one. I'm writing a short right now, that I'm just kind of letting it go whatever. I wrote it with the intention of short, but now I have a feeling it's going to go into a feature. It's just for fun right now. But I'll be having moments of where like the characters are just talking, and I'm like, Alyssa, keep up writing everything down that is being said in your head right now. And like that's how I've been operating writing recently, and it's been pretty fun.
Can I give you, and I don't want to say an advice, but can I share with you kind of what
please.
I've developed for myself? Because again, not a writer, and a bad reader, or a slower reader. And English is my second language, so it's even a little bit more challenging.
Take
sometimes
a second to...
well, not so much, but sometimes I'll stumble, come across a word that I'm like,
what is this?
What does this mean? Or in a phrase, I'm like, I think I've heard it before, but I'm not sure if it's being implied correctly, if I'm understanding it correctly. This is not my invention. This is something I've adopted from Mark Duplass. What's his name? Mark Duplass? Yeah, Mark Duplass. And it really works well for me because my brain storytelling is way faster than my typing.
Yeah.
And I will come up with an incredible, like a dialogue or a scene or just, in my head, but I can't type it that quickly.
No, it's hard.
And also staring at the blank page is like, and action and no, not for me. So what I've done is, and it really works well for me, is I'll take a recorder and I'll just, I'll talk for an hour or whatever. And I'm just like, I'll even do the characters or whatever. And he calls it the vomit draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's beautiful about it, it is linear. There's no, you seeing what you wrote and then backspace, erase.
It's there.
It's just there. And then you go back to it and you're listening to it and like, okay, well, that's garbage. Oh, that's really good. Okay. Yeah. And you put that down and you keep going and you have 30 minutes of that. Something that happened in my brain that would take me 20, 30, 40 minutes to write. It took me 2-3 minutes to say, to verbalize. And I would just express myself way better that way to actors, to friends, to talking about things, right? That's why I like doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Conversational, thing and learning from people. But for me, that was that's the only way I can actually write is I can't stare at a blank page. It's like suicide. So I'll just take one of like a Zoom recorder or whatever, something, or phone,
whatever you have.
Yep. And I'll make a linear recording of the thing, and then I just play back over and over, and I write it out.
Yeah.
And the vomit draft, is on that linear thing, and I can't erase it, but there's good parts in there, and I put it down, and then I do another linear recording, and I continue. And before you know it, you have 15 pages that otherwise would have been 50 pages that you started, erased, didn't like that, without, how this, like, your brain will just start spitting something out that you're like, this is brilliant. And then you, when you actually get to the typing part, you're like, exactly. And I was like, my brain's not trained well enough to keep up. So I was like, so then when I saw his talk to students or whatever it was, that's why I think like things like these are super helpful from people that work in the industry that actually made it, worked on things, and can share. And because I would have never thought of that ever.
No.
Like, what? And then I tried it and I was like, this is crazy. I can just say what I'm thinking quickly.
Yeah.
And then go back and listen to it and like, oh, because our brain tricks us all the time, right? Into remembering things falsely, that falsely and that actually happened.
Yep.
So That's my writing process. That's the only way I can get it down.
I'm gonna try that because our other friend who's in the writing class too, he did that only because the story or the feature that he's now writing is based off of real events that happened. So he's getting everyone's interviews, but he's doing everyone's interviews, transcribing only like the juicy stuff.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I was like, that's really dope. But then I didn't even think to do it with my story that I'm thinking of in my head too. That's genius.
Same concept. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit for it, but Mark Duplass, and I'm sure somebody told him. Somebody was probably.
Yeah, he took it probably from someone.
Yeah.
Claimed it as his.
But okay, next question.
Yes.
As a director, I would assume that the scripty director relationship is pretty tight, like friendship wise and trust,
can
right?
Be, yeah.
How often? What's the ratio between you meeting a director like, hey, I'm Alyssa, hey, I'm Brian, versus like, I need Alyssa for like, that loyalty. Not so much even the loyalty, like, but do you get more calls from people that you've already worked with because they want you back? Or is it kind of a mix? And also, what do you prefer? Like, well, I guess working with somebody and get along with would always be preferred. But like, how does those relationship,
How do they go about?
And also, when do you start the process with the director of like, I assume you don't just show up to the first day of principal photography and say, hey, I'm Alyssa, I'm going to be the scriptee.
Sometimes.
Really?
Sometimes. If I'm not allotted prep time, or if they don't want to have me at a meeting for whatever reason, just because they don't want to pay me, that's a lot of like the time that will happen. So, and again, it's usually for lower budget sets. So I've had a system developed of like, okay, I'll read the script, I'll have my own questions, I will meet and talk with the director, the producers, or I will not, and based off that will determine how my first conversation with everybody on set goes. Yeah, like, because if you're if I haven't talked to you, I'm gonna pull you away and say like, hey, I'm the scriptee, these are all my questions, how do you work, let's get to know each other real quick. And then
why don't you share a couple of them? So start with some of the key department heads, like director of photography, DP.
I don't really talk to the DP too much unless
fuck the DP.
Yeah, they're just sitting over there ignoring me.
He's just like touching buttons on the camera, doing something, ISO,
glasses,
shutter
like
angle.
Mini glasses.
Oh God. No, yeah.
Who's your to-go AD? Probably, right?
Yeah. So I make really good friends with the director if they're cool. I've really noticed that the directors that I don't become cool with, it's usually just an ego thing of like, I'm the director, nobody talk to me. So I've never.
And do you get that a lot?
I've gotten that a handful of times. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
And so it's like, but it is what it is. I'm there for everyone else too. Not
it's
just
mind-boggling to me that there are people out there that have that kind of approach, and they are like directing that they actually were able to get to where they are with that attitude.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little, it's so sad actually. It's kind of like,
yeah.
But I guess their creative talent must be that good.
Yeah. And sometimes it is that good. I've seen some people act like that, and it's like, oh, well, I can't really say anything because the final product is pretty awesome. Yeah, that's just how they are. But no, yeah, thankfully, I've had really good experiences with the directors that I've worked with. I haven't had many bad experiences with any department really on set, which has been awesome. But yeah, I'm trying to think.
Like, who do you go talk to? You were like, I go talk to a bunch of people, like.
Yeah, I'll say hi to everybody. I'll go find the producers first if I absolutely know nobody, and I'll have a producer introduce me because usually the ADs are busy doing whatever they're doing. And then once I
hey, you're scripty, don't talk to me.
Yeah, go stay by Village. But yeah, so the producers mainly is who I'll go to. But then by the end of the set, my best friends are usually the second AC, the director, the ADs, and then depending how involved hair and makeup is, or
I was just going to ask you that. So for what your number one thing is continuity, right? So that's going to be mainly wardrobe, makeup, hair, right? Makeup, hair, wardrobe, and props.
Yeah.
So do you go and kind of go into and because they help a ton, right? Because they're standing by the set when we're resetting props.
Yeah.
I hate those, you know, like the table with 15 props on it and the actor flips the table on one of those and you have to reset. I know. Yeah, people don't understand that, like, when you see that in the movie, like somebody just goes like this and swipes something off the table and like
it again.
it's like 5 people then like after that take like goes onto the set and like picks and looks at photos and like, no dude, that was here, are you sure? And the envelope was right here. And
yeah. And then like I feel bad because they'll be arguing or whatever and I'm like, you were both wrong, it was over here. Yeah.
Like I have it fucking I have the monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the brain tricking us into hardcore believing that something that didn't happen happened.
Oh yeah. No, I had not a fight one time, but like a very intense argument with an actor on set about closing a door. And I was like, man, like you've been closing the door every time that you have left, the door is closed. He's like, no, like it was only for the last one. And I was like, I promise you that it wasn't. And like I just got tired. I'm like, why am I sitting here arguing? And I showed him every photo that I took. I was like, take number 1, take number 2, like take number 3. Like, please don't argue with me, dude. Like, I'm not trying to make you. And that's the thing. I feel like people think that script supervisors are there to just like.
Well, you know, when your own brain tricks you, right? That you heart like it's not even ego. I think it's just like an embarrassment, you know, thing. And like you can't quite believe that you're like, no, dude, I didn't close the door. I'm telling you, I know what I did. And you show him and be like, fuck.
Damn, yeah. Oh, damn, I gotta just close it. Yeah. Yeah, so that happens occasionally. More so that happens with art department than actors.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally cool with.
Be like, fuck you. It's right here.
Yeah,
so
and it's also too if like art department, if that's how they want to have their set, I'll go talk to the director about it. It's a lot easier to change like something minor on the set than it is to like change something big from the actors. So I'm like very grateful when I have actors that work with me like for continuity. Which is why that one time that I was getting fought with by an actor, I was like, I don't know how to approach this. Like, I've never had to be like mindful of your feelings, you know? To where art department, we can sit here and like compare photos and then go talk to like whoever and get it settled, you know? But yeah.
Who's your to-go settle first AD?
First AD, yeah. Or the director.
Yeah.
That's pretty final. Yeah.
So relationship with your first is basically kind of like the last resort type thing. If there's an issue, like, hey, bring it up to the AD.
I would say my last resort would be the producers.
Right. Like, no, that's like off the set.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, like, okay.
But yeah, if there's like something where something's not happening, I will definitely go to the AD. For sure, if it's something that I don't have to bother, anything that I don't have to bother the director with, I will take to every other department. And I will only ask like.
So the art, the makeup, the wardrobe is kind of where you guys need to coordinate that you guys are on the same page, right? So those introductions are probably really important in making sure that you guys are friendly and, you know.
Yeah.
It's a.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to where I haven't ever had a problem.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks. With a wardrobe or makeup person.
Yeah.
At least with continuity. You know, other problems I've heard, but I myself have never dealt with anything.
What's the solution
like
to where if there's not a video village? Because I've just learned too that like, for example,
that happens sometimes.
Quentin Tarantino does not have monitors.
No.
Other than like he was talking about like this little like
the
a
little
radio walk, whatever that is.
Yeah, the little pterodactyls that they get.
Yeah.
So when that happens, I just gotta watch the set, what's happening on set, and to the best of my
take a video.
Record, take videos, take photos of the set. If possible, I will ask a DP or a second if I could watch from their monitors or the camera monitor. Like if it's not like a handheld shot to where I can stand by camera, I will stand by camera just so I can see what's in frame and what isn't in frame. If not,
and that's tricky, right? Because some second AC, so second assistant camera.
Yeah.
For the people.
Oh yeah.
they don't like when you're looking over their shoulder, when they're like super focused on, especially when you're working with a camera that has super shallow depth of field, meaning the sharpness of the image is 2 inches forward, 4 inches backward, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Like
any move the actor makes is out of focus.
Exactly. So they're like super laser focused on the thing, and if you're like breathing over there, like I know they don't like that sometimes. Yeah. Some ACs are cool, like they don't give a shit, and some ACs are like
stay over there.
There's another monitor over there. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like
okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So that interaction with directors sometimes happens on set. Sometimes you have some prep time. What's kind of like an ideal thing that you would throw out there, maybe for the directors listening to, like, hey, as a script supervisor, this is kind of what I look for, and this would be a great approach for everybody, so we can all get along. What's like the best case scenario situation?
Honestly, best case scenario is just including script supervisors in all department head meetings. Whether people feel like we need to be there or not, because it's the continuity for the whole film that we're discussing, mostly like when all department heads are there, of like, how is the actor's hair going to be? How is their wardrobe going to be? If it's going to change at all from what's in the script, it'd be nice if I knew. Also, and this is mainly for the lower budget sets, there have been times where I have been sent the wrong script, and like it's like version number 3, and
we're shooting 5.
Exactly. And so I'm like, none of my lines are right. So if the actors ask me like, hey, did I say this right? I can't tell them for sure because I don't know.
I'm sure that there's a story behind this, right? Somewhere you were on the set and
there's
you got
been a couple stories,
really?
Yeah, where I'm just.
So I bet from now on you always go check that you have the correct version of the script.
I will
before you do anything.
Double
like,
check,
hey, is
triple
this
check.
Was what we were shooting?
Yeah, and then even before too, when I was more green, they would send me a script and I just start breaking it down. And I'm like, okay, this is a script. It is what it is. Not knowing that a shooting script is coming later, or that there's going to be revisions. And so I'll put all my work into this and like get it done in a day or 2 days. And then the next day they're like, okay, here's the script.
Let me ask you a question before I forget this, because
yeah.
I've been meaning to ask. So I have a kind of a basic understanding of what this is, but can you explain the colors of the different prints of the script? Like red, green, yellow, what the fuck?
So I'm still a little unclear on that. It's mainly for big TV networks. I know that big studios like CBS, NBC, ABC, they'll have colored scripts. I have never myself seen a colored script
like India
feature, or in the indie world.
Like the big ones do, like a Star Wars or anything like that. They'll have so is it basically just a draft version 7 or script version 8, and they just reprint them so that you could never ever miss which thing you're working off? It's a color label.
Exactly.
Right. That's what some of the bigger things that I worked on, we had multiple scripts, and I've never really because they just hand it to me, or I have my things, my scenes, I don't
Final draft is usually like red, right? Like usually the last draft is red from what I experienced.
No, because I don't think so. I think when you first arrive at the shooting script, it'll be red. But I think if there's like a major rewrite, I think they'll reprint it into a different color. Yeah. So then everybody's on the same page, that we're no longer working off of this color. Because that number on the beginning of the script can be missed, like of version 7, version 8. Yeah. But if you were working with a red one and now as a green, you're like, oh,
you're gonna know this is the wrong.
Everybody's like, oh, no, that one, not that one. Yeah. Because there's so many other department heads that will have a chat about, all little kind of like me and you, right, on a daily basis. Like, hey, are we still doing this scene? And like, if the scene is in the red print but not in the blueprint, then like why are you talking to me about it? Because we forgot to switch. So I think that was my understanding, but I figured that you probably know more than I do about it.
Yeah. So what I do know for sure is you're right, and that's how the method of why they print them in different colors. And I do also know that is there like there's a method to the madness. Like red is 1, and like yellow's 2, and green is 3, and white's like 5. So it's like if you're gonna print up different drafts, you're gonna know what the next color is going to be. So if you're saying like, hey, there's gonna be a green draft, like people know, we're gonna be waiting for a green draft.
We're changing. Yeah. I think though the shooting script starts the one we're going to start shooting with is red, right? I think that's what it starts with.
I mean, I'm literally going off of seeing behind the scenes of Lost, and the final episode, the finale, like the final script they gave to the actors was red. So that's the only thing I'm going off of. But I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, but that you know that doesn't mean
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I
what
think
the
from
order
what I've
is.
seen from like a bigger features, the
Mhm.
first print is usually red. But you know what? Let's ask the people that are going to watch this. If
Yeah.
anybody knows this, please leave a comment in the episode
Educate
and
us.
let us know,
Mhm.
because I've never been able to, and I've actually, from directors and a bunch of people, never been able to kind of get a clear
Straight answer.
Wait, Alyssa, though, don't you use different color pens for specific things though, right? Like red, blue.
I'll use different colored pens if there's different cameras. And then I'll assign those for whatever set. So like A cam, usually I'll always leave just my regular pencil. If there's a B cam, I'll do that. I'll highlight it in red. If there's a C cam, I'll get my highlighter and get yellow, and for however many cameras there are, assign a different highlighter to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your pack look like? How many?
The rainbow pack. I got all of them.
You got all of
Yeah.
them. Like, oh, we're shooting with the Phantom, and then this thing, and then this thing. Brilliant, by the way, because you brought it all the way back to where I spaced out and forgot what I wanted to ask you.
Script notes.
Multiple cameras.
Yes.
Script notes on multiple cameras. How the fuck are you watching two things at the same time?
I have, well, and thankfully I'll have multiple different eyes at Video Village. And so that's where normally I won't welcome people being like, hey, this is wrong, or shouldn't it be this way? But if it's like I guess people correcting me.
But if
it's like a big job, yeah, please, everybody, all eyes on camera, all eyes on screen, because it is super hard.
You can't.
No,
you can't physically focus on two things at the same time.
No. So what I'll normally do is I watch for the actions and listen for the dialogue, and I will watch one monitor and take photos of another monitor, and then switch off during takes. So if it's like we have one take that we did this, okay, cool, now I'll watch this take over here, watch the other monitor with this camera, see all the action that's going on along here, so that I can, to the best of my ability, understand what's going on in all frames.
I do want to unpack this a little bit more, because first of all, I'm super thrilled that I totally circled back to what I went back. But so we have an A camera, B camera, let's say even a C camera, right? So you have a steady, maybe it's the A cam, on the crane is a B cam, and then C cam is like on sticks or on a dolly or something like that.
Yeah.
Remember how I asked you about like circling the best take or whatever? Or the take was good, but there was a boom or something. Let's say it wasn't yelled out because it's a bigger show. Like on almost every major film, there'll be an A and B camera. At least they're trying to roll two cameras, right? If it's like a decent budget.
For sure.
So you can't watch both at the same time. So my question is, if you have A camera, B camera, and you're watching A, and there was a boom, and then he loved the take, you would circle on A camera, he loved the take, but boom in the shot.
Exactly.
Right? Now, whenever that was there for a second, well, B camera, he could cross cut to that. But you didn't see B camera. So would you then, after the take is over, would you guys play back B camera? You would check the footage, and with the like, even for directors, it's confusing. Like, how do you watching what you're kind of focusing on, right? Because you have movement of Steadicam and maybe a dolly or something, or sticks with a B cam.
Yeah.
So like, how do you mark that up? Like, what would be the process of figuring out, because the boom would ruin the take, but if you have a quick cutaway to the B cam, you can still utilize that. If it's an audio thing, it's audio. It's going to be on both fucking, takes. But so multiple camera, something like that happens. What would be the process?
I just write it down in my notes. Everything, like, to where boom in A cam, not sure if in B cam, circle, because the director likes this. And if there's time, we can watch playback. If there's not, I would just recommend doing another one just to save our butts, just in case.
Like safety?
Like, exactly, doing a safety. If
Okay,
that
let's
was, like,
talk
the
with
one.
safety. Just specify what that is for people that are listening.
Oh, yeah. Safety's like, so we circled back perfectly. And we want to do another take of that, let's say, because maybe this light was a little brighter or dimmer, and we fixed it, and we want to do it again, just in case.
Basically, we're saying we got what we need, but let's give us some extra things to choose from and have maybe more what we call coverage.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So the last kind of a take usually for that we call safety.
Yeah.
You know, and usually it would be the AD. The director says, "I got it," and then the AD would say, "Do you want to do? You got time, or you know, do you want to save? Do you want to do another one for safety?" Or he would be like, "Can we do one more for safety?"
Because God forbid there's even something that nobody caught in the background.
Exactly.
That, like, you know, the
and
safety
it happens all the time.
Oh, all the time.
All the time. Have you, as a script supervisor, have you kind of geeked out over the YouTube videos of like people fandom like catching weird things in movies?
Yeah. No, the biggest one I think that I like geeked out over about was the Starbucks cup on the Game of Thrones set. that made it through the script supervisor. That made it through everybody else on set. That made it through the editor. That made it through the colorist. Like, so many people missed it, and I'm just like, how?
Let's count on how many people, so people can get an idea, right? Yeah. So first, somebody fucking put it there.
Yeah. Right. That should not have been on.
Right. But the first person to notice should be
Scripty.
Yeah.
And then possibly director. Then possibly assistant director, depending on like where they are.
Yeah.
Then possibly the set designer. They should definitely have caught that. Then there's the props master, who's watching everything that's on set.
Then usually the camera team has a face.
Team. Yeah, exactly.
Let's just call that 20 people, one person.
Yeah.
Right, because camera teams, your AC, first AC, second AC, the DP who's looks staring into the screen.
However many operators.
The gaffer, you know, like, okay. Which, not a camera team, but, you know. Okay,
so then that's just the set people. Then we have like the post people. We have like the DIT guy who's like watching everything and labeling everything. We have
literally his job to label what's wrong in the frame.
Editor.
Then the editor, your assistant editors, your colorist. I'm trying to even think what else.
And then like post like something like as HBO, like somebody who's going to review.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we got to that, when we stop at what was it? The colorless? That's 10 people.
That was 10 people.
And it still made it.
It made it.
Which makes me think, have you guys questioned this, that it was maybe done on purpose?
I have. I've also thought about that.
Because I thought how funny that would be.
That's what I'm saying, because it's just like, I don't know, but because that's my
It's
thing.
A total mindfuck.
It's a total mindfuck because you're at such a high end like of production to where it's like, oh, that wasn't my job. I'll let them fix it in post. But then the post people are like, this was your job. We're not gonna fix it. Someone has to fix this. I don't understand.
I can though speak of my experience. So when I rapped in Canada, 18, and so first from Czech Republic to Canada, then to US. I started a whole different industry business when I moved to LA. I left film industry for a while, and I was in manufacturing. And in manufacturing, you start, like, let's say you're making this table, you start with the raw materials. It goes through like a design and things like that. I kid you not, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a piece of wood. I manufacture wood with a lot of fabrication with wood materials. That there would be a scratch, a very, very obvious scratch across a piece of wood that would become a piece of a much larger kind of a furniture piece or something like that. It went through the person who was working with the wood to shape it into material that can be used. Then it went through a person who would be doing the assembly. Then it went through the eyes of the person who's finishing the piece, meaning applying some stain or color or paint. And then, like, it would go to client's house and get installed. and in 0 of those steps, nobody would say there's a gigantic scratch across the.
Yep.
So I think sometimes, in my attitude, I think when you sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes you have people who are just paid hourly for their job, and sometimes you can have the snowball of bad luck for that day, that person, when it got to him, was in a bad mood and just didn't give a fuck.
Deal with it.
Yeah. And somehow that goes from a raw material till it's fucking on the wall in the client's house, and then I go there. I'm like, hey, here's your. What the fuck is that?
This big scratch?
Yeah, like well, how did it? Like that must have happened in transportation. And I've tracked sometimes a couple of these things. So I'm thinking Starbucks cup on a suture. We've named 10 people, and then think about all the people that were in the screening of the episode before it gets published,
That's
right?
What I'm saying. Yeah.
Dude, think about VFX.
Yeah.
Too. Like. You have to
we didn't even talk about the VFX
There's like
artists.
hundreds of people on that.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
hundreds.
They have dragons in that show.
So I feel like the Starbucks cup made it to the episode on purpose. I think it was a little mindfuck with people, and we're talking about it.
Yeah, no, it's still relevant. Game of Thrones.
All right, go back to the B camera, all of that, marking it up. That was kind of my circle back question. Mark up everything. Last question about that. How do you decide on which camera? Does the director tell you, hey, pay attention to A, or pay attention to B, or pay attention to C? Or is it up to you?
It's mainly up to... That's like a 50-50. Depending on what the shoot is and depending on what the shot is, I'll focus on the main actors because that's what I have been asked to focus on. Or I will focus on actions, or if like something practical is happening in one and we are doing like cross coverage or whatever, I'll be asked to only focus on the practical to see if it's sold on camera. So it's like most of the time it is up to my judgment of what kind of is like what I can dictate be the most important thing to watch. Other times it's very obvious, like you need to watch this because this is the most important thing of this coverage. So it's like it can go either way depending on what we're shooting.
Is that something you would ask before the take, the director, or sometimes?
If I'm unclear, I will ask.
Okay.
But most of the time, I can generalize like what the most important thing is. Because if it's like cross coverage, and I don't even know another like a close up of camera A. I can pretty much forget about C cam because I know A cam is the same as C cam. It's just a little wider, you know? So it's like little stuff like that that I just got to figure out on the day.
Nice. What would be segueing to acting? All of this work as a script supervisor and being on set, how did that influence you as an actress in developing your skill? And, how is that? I know you're taking like acting coach lessons and, you go on auditions and you want to pursue acting.
Yeah.
How does working in the industry behind the camera help with being on camera?
Well, it helps me understand that when I don't get the audition, it's not my fault. That's the biggest one. I feel like
dealing with rejection,
yeah, because I don't know, I've been auditioning out here for I don't know how long and I haven't gotten anything. It's little things here and there, but nothing huge. So if
what they're looking for,
exactly, if you don't know that people are super particular about stuff, it's super easy to internalize that. And it's like, oh, something's wrong with me, I'm wrong, I'm a bad actor, like I'm just gonna quit because this is impossible. That's helped me out tremendously. Also too, just in my acting technique, knowing the frame, like knowing how much of the frame you fill up. I feel too, I was very lucky to get some really dope camera departments who explained lens sizes to me and like explained everything. So I can sit here
Alyssa, we're on the 50.
Exactly.
We can't see your legs.
So then I can know like, okay, we're on a 50. I can move a little bit.
Yeah.
But like if we're on 100, like, hey, we're on 100. Okay.
Like, don't move.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm staying as still as possible. So that's helped me that in terms of that actor wise, knowing what I can and can't do.
Do you note in the script supervising what lenses we're on?
If the camera assistant is not doing that, I can do that. I have the option to do that on my paperwork, but I normally don't keep track of that. Mm-hmm. But if I ask to, definitely not a problem, can do it.
Right, it's on the, usually on the, actually, no, fuck, it's not. Yeah, is a lens, yeah, it's on the, is it on the slate? Fuck, I can't remember.
Not really. Yeah. I don't really see lenses on slates
So who records the information?
The ACs do. Usually the first AC. I think it's the second ACs do. They have a camera log that somebody in camera.
Yeah, I knew there was a camera log. Yeah. I was wondering who and when it's being filled out.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the second AC, but
it was like, yeah, it's not on a slate, so it's
like on a lot of independent projects.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen, or the DP will just do it. Yeah.
And then I think Scripty, the software that I know you're not really friends with.
It also has that.
Yeah, you put whatever lens we're on, right?
Yeah.
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 So segueing back to the acting real quick before we say goodbye.
Yeah.
What's the kind of a number one thing that you think that and the dealing with the rejection is a huge one, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like, I think everybody in any kind of work or any kind of profession dealing with rejections, and when you're solely just based, you're judged on your like
your looks and your appearance.
Yeah, like you walk into the casting the room and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like literally just straight up, you walk up, I'm like, hey, no, thank you.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, what did I do wrong?
Exactly.
It's like, you did nothing wrong.
Yeah. I feel like it's getting a little better. I think people are like, sweetie, you're brunette. We're looking for blonde.
Yeah.
Blonde, blue eyes. That's what we need. That's what we're going for. Like, that simple. Like, it's nothing to do with you being, crushing the role or whatever. We need that first.
Yep. Or
we need somebody who's taller or a little bit more, curvy or, whatever.
Exactly.
We have a look that we're looking for. Here's the concept, of what we're looking for. I feel like this is where really, like, especially for like starting actors, before you make a name and you can be identified as Alyssa actor and you have some kind of a portfolio that people know when they're casting, like what, to approach you for, or even offer you something to read, or, when you guys are just going auditions, I feel like this is where the agents should really step it in and know where to send you. And, when, like, I've heard stories where, you show up to audition and it's a room full of black guys. There's this white guy shows up and like, how did, like, can you, like, going into the audition room and like, we're looking for an African American for the role. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, and then calling your agent and be like, dude, the fuck did you fuck that up? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just like, I send you out on everything.
No. Yeah, that's exactly it. I had a conversation with this, like last weekend with my friend. We were on set and we were just, talking, and she was telling me how her agent had done that exact same thing. She's like this, Hispanic woman, and she goes to this audition where it's like an all black audition, and she's like, I don't fit in here. Like this, I don't think I'm at the right audition. And so she calls her agent and she's like, no, that's it. And she's like, well, everyone here is black. Like, I'm Mexican. Like, what the heck? And she's like, oh, and she goes and double checks. Her agent didn't see that it said African American only. Didn't check, so just sent her to it and was like, oh, you would fit this. This is you. And she's like, this is obviously not me. So I think good agents won't do that, but most agents just want that commission, so they're just gonna tell you to go.
It's numbers game, right? You represent 20 people, you send them on 15 editions a week each.
Someone's got to get booked.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Gotta pay the bills.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how it is. And I feel like the more that I climb, I'm noticing that it's really only the lower budget agents that do that. The higher that I'm climbing, I'm realizing these agents are fighting for actors to get specific, like role. The specific ones. Yeah. I'd never heard that. I don't know if that's like an industry normal, but I was like, wow, like
that's nice.
Yeah, I was like, someone's fighting for the actors. Like that's legit. So yeah, hopefully we can get there next year.
What's your kind of a dream role? What's something that you would love to play?
So
like to be the bitch or kind of the good girl, or intelligence. Like, what's your dream, genre and a type of a character that you'd love to play?
So I love like coming to age, growing up, maturing roles. Those are my favorites. And I didn't know that I liked that until I started working with my mentor on a pilot that he wrote for a series.
Have you seen Josie and Jack?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Josie and Jack. I haven't seen it.
It's not. She's an actress, Sarah Lancaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was on Chuck and a couple other things before, and she segued, and that was her directorial debut. And saw the film. It's actually brilliant.
That's
it's a female director. You should watch it.
I love that. Yeah, Eva Longoria just started directing too.
I was actually somebody was just telling me they were on her set.
Yeah, that's where I learned. April. I was like, no way. That's amazing. Yeah.
Small world.
Small world.
Okay, so you're kind of a dream ideal role.
So
coming of age.
It's a coming of age. Realizing that you are stronger than you are. So if that implies like the badassery, if that implies some intelligence.
Yeah, sure.
I would say that's my dream role. And there's a series that is like my dream role that I'm trying to get produced right now so that I can like get it going. But yeah, it's that. It's the growing up. It's I guess the underdog story. I love the underdog story. I like to see the person who you would not think could make it to where they wanted to make it.
Yeah, who says this? The best stories are the most personal.
Yeah, they are.
I think Martin Scorsese said that, and I think the guy that won, I butchered his name again. I'm not going to do it again, so I'll wait for Tori to say it. The guy that won for Parasite.
Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He said that his Oscar acceptance speech.
Yeah.
The best stories are the most personal.
Yeah.
And what is a role you would never play that you would be like, nah?
I don't know. I don't think that there would ever be a role that I wouldn't play. I mean, I wouldn't go nude on camera, but I don't know.
Like full like nude or top?
I wouldn't go like full frontal nude on camera. Like Margot Robbie. I wouldn't Margot Robbie it. Yeah. She can because she's Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
I am not.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's still protocol, and there's still like this,
sure. Set safety.
That was Martin Scorsese with the quote, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. He because they were nominated at the same time, right? He was for Irishman, and he's like, he thanked him right and then there. Yeah. Little trivia for you. How does the script supervisor deal with that when it's nudity on
the
set?
Close set? Normally, depending on how the actors feel,
you were there.
I can there or I cannot be there. I just need to know what happens during the scene, and I just need to know what take the director liked. I think
kind of goes something like, and now they fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Except it's just said, and now they do
things.
Do things.
Basic Instinct had that like just over and over.
Exactly.
Really?
Now they do that.
And now they do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything to where there's been like full on nudity. It's only ever been partial nudity.
Yeah.
Even then, we'll still have a closed set, to keep the actors.
And they do like they do for male. They do like the sock, and you have the skin color.
Oh,
like
see, I haven't done anything like that
panties
yet.
or a bra. That's like and then then they can in the post and
blur it all together.
It all together. I feel like culturally we've moved into, wanted to ask you about that actually, that it's almost like expected from like, if you're an up and coming female actress, that at some point you'll be offered a role where nudity is going to play a role. Yeah. And if you want to kind of jump into the next level, it's almost like you have to,
yeah,
it's strange. It's weird.
It's really weird.
But do you think it's just for female? I think it's for guys too.
I don't know. I haven't seen it much for males, but I haven't been looking either. But I've also been seeing that it's not as necessary as
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
before, you know.
And sometimes it is. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
it makes sense that,
Mhm.
that's what but safety and all of the procedures.
Yeah. So I just know that's funny you say that because yeah, the first time I saw Wolf of Wall Street, I wasn't familiar with Margot Robbie, and I was like, me not knowing anything was like the only reason she got this role is because she would go nude for it. And then no, like learning the whole backstory, I was like, oh man, no, had no idea. And then like watching her movies was like, oh no, she's insanely
She's
talented.
insanely
Yeah.
talented.
But I used to have that mindset too of like only the slutty girls can make it because you have to be slutty or whatever. But growing up and looking and like working, I'm realizing that that is totally not the case.
Not the case, yeah.
And I don't know if this is too because we're coming into a more like equal era, I would say. Not all the way equal, but like there's more equality. I don't know if that's something I'm ever have to gonna experience to like that extent to what I think like people before me experienced.
Sure.
So yeah, it's kind of nice. I like being in Hollywood right now at the time that I am.
Absolutely. What is the kind of a number one thing that you were mentored on, like advice that you've learned on set?
Authenticity, I would say. Just being you, not faking to impress other people. I've gotten that from my acting coaches, my directing mentor. He's the same writing guy, tells me the same thing. And that's like pretty much like everyone that said that to me. Don't go off trying to show off. Don't go off trying to be something you're not. Show up being who you are and giving all you are.
Best advice somebody gave you?
I would say the best advice somebody gave me is...
And it's all set, like on set? On
set, yeah. I'm trying to word it properly because it was on the McMillions shoot.
It's such a great show too, by the way.
Yeah, one of the directors, Brian Lazardi, I'm gonna butcher it. I'm really upset about it. Or Brian Hernandez, I'm sorry. He said... James Hernandez, my apologies. I just mix both the director's first and last names. Oh, they're gonna kill me. No, James.
It's all good.
Yeah.
You were gonna plug one of them, and now you basically
exactly.
did it. Yeah, you plugged both of them.
But James told me pretty much practice until you think you're perfect, and then come out and be yourself. And I was like, oh man, that's really freaking great advice. And I had been kind of doing that already.
Learn your craft.
Exactly, yeah.
Know your, yeah.
Learn you with your craft and give that to people.
Beautiful.
I'd say that's the biggest advice I'd ever gotten on set. And it's been working, yeah.
Well, I'm super inspired by this conversation we just had. It was really fantastic.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming on and joining and sharing everything.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. There's a ton in this episode that I think people can listen, go back to, and rewind. And we've talked about all kinds of questions, and I've been around set and on set for years, and I've asked you questions that I've kind of always wanted to ask, and you know how it is though on the set, and you kind of don't want to,
it's
and
like, oh, I don't want to be that new person.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I want to know everything about your job.
And then you go on for 5 years and never fucking figure out, hey, why is the script green now? Like what's going on?
What's this order?
Exactly. Alyssa, pleasure meeting you.
You too.
Thanks for coming on. All right, everybody, thank you for listening. Tori, thank you for doing what you're doing.
Tori.
Yeah, thanks, Tori.
Fun hanging. Thank you.
All right, guys, be kind to one another.
Always be kind and stay golden.
Stay golden. Sounds great. All right.